Hi everyone, this is Bambi Weavil for EscapeArtist. This is EscapeArtist Live. I'm excited to join you. This is my first time hosting the webinar for EscapeArtist Live. As you know, Domingo is usually hosting it, but we're doing a roundtable format now, so more of Escape Artist is involved. So I'm excited to be speaking with you today. I've got Sean Dennis here. Sean's got some great stories to tell. He's going to be part of the Bitcoin Online Summit coming up on Monday. It's really exciting for those of you who have not heard about the Bitcoin Online Summit. You can check it out at bitcoinonlinesummit.com. He's going to be involved with about 20 plus speakers from different walks of life all over the world. It's the first time ever that there's been a Bitcoin Online Summit, so it's pretty exciting. So I want to welcome Sean. Sean, how are you today?
Hey, great. Yeah, thanks for having me, Bambi.
Absolutely. So it's been fun to get to know Sean in preparation for the interview. Beyond Bitcoin, he has a really crazy life experience. He's done a little bit of global traveling, and he's an expat himself. So feel free to go into that, Sean. Tell us more about your background.
Cool. Yeah, no worries. Well, yeah, I think I'll be the only person at the summit speaking from a beach in Nicaragua. I spent most of my life following my parents around. Well, my dad was a banker, so every 2 or 3 years we moved countries. We lived in the Middle East for a long time. I was born in Hong Kong. We lived in Switzerland. And I finally moved to England in my late teens. Never really settled in. I wasn't used to being the same as everyone else, basically. So I finished my education there at university, went into real estate there. I worked for Cushman & Wakefield for a long time in the city. And still, yeah, just years went by, and I was always looking for the right out, the right place to live, and to get back to that beach lifestyle that I liked, basically. And I surf, basically, so all my vacations were surf-based. So I came on a surf vacation to Nicaragua, having never heard of it before in my life. In fact, still half my friends in England think I'm in Africa. But now more and more people are hearing about Nicaragua, and it's becoming sort of a hot topic, and it's one of the places a lot of expats either want to move to or buy a vacation home at. So I moved here knowing that I wanted to do something, but not sure what. I don't think, had the recession not happened, I don't think I would have been brave enough to make that move, but I saw it all happening and thought, commercial real estate was right at the center of it. I'm sitting there going, I'm either going to lose my job or it's going to go nowhere for 10 years. Or I'd do something stupid. And so moving to Nicaragua was my something stupid. And yeah, never regretted it since then. So now we have a real estate office here. Actually been working with EscapeArtist for a little while now, and got to know Ty and Domingo quite well, which has been, yeah, real pleasure, and look forward to doing it a lot in the future. But no, Nicaragua is really becoming quite a boom country for Americans and Canadians looking to sort of either change their life and move to somewhere nice and hot in the tropics, but also in the same or similar sort of time zone to home, and not that far away either. I mean, if someone who's living in Florida wants to come back, or they want to go and visit their family in Florida, it's a 2-hour flight away, which is nice. So yeah, lived here for 8 years now, pretty much, and yeah, love every moment of it. We have our office here. I'm literally 20 meters from the beach, which is pretty nice. And you have your house like 2 minutes outside of town, and yeah, Nicaraguan people are some of the most beautiful people in the world, outside and inside, which is great. And yeah, no, love it out here.
Not a bad life. What do you love most about Nicaragua?
Aside from, and I'd love to say, yeah, because I get to surf every day, which I used to, but I recently decided to get a little bit more serious about work than I ever thought I would do. And I now struggle to call myself a surfer because I work so much, especially because, I mean, what we'll talk about later in this as well with the Bitcoin business that I'm setting up, and the more involved I've got in that. So my day job, which is the real estate, and then I now have this night job, which is the Bitcoin-based business. We have programmers based all over the other side of the world. So yeah, when I usually go to bed, that's when they get up to start working. So yeah, no rest for me at all at the moment. But no, I love it because, yeah, I mean, we really have a 10 or 11-month tourist season. So it's beautiful weather, blue skies and sun all year except for October. I usually tell people, yeah, if you want to write a book, then come down here and visit us in October, because you won't be able to leave your house. It'll be raining so much. The rest of the year, just beautiful, and waves all the time, lots of people coming in and visiting. there's a lot of people which I noticed since, or during the recession, a lot of people who probably otherwise wouldn't have took career breaks and came down here, stayed here for a year, discovered it, set up a business, and stayed a lot longer than they may have done. Or, I mean, we get a lot of Canadians who are fed up with the winters up there, and they'll regularly spend 3 to 6 months a year here. So there's quite a nice turnover of people who are here for a decent amount of time, as well as people who are here, like me, full-time as well. So it's resulted in a pretty nice expat community that all get on quite well and know each other, as well as a really nice local population as well in San Juan and Managua, which is the capital city. All the people who work there during the week have started to see San Juan as their weekend retreat place. So they all own homes here as well. So you'll be out in a bar and there'll be, a real half-half mix of foreigners and locals all there doing the same thing and having fun. And it creates a really nice cultural sort of experience for people when they come down here.
It sounds like a lot of fun. What do you feel is the most surprising thing about Nicaragua that, before you moved there, or, what would people be most surprised to know?
I think, people's first impressions, and it is slowly changing now, is that it's a war-torn zone, and aren't they still shooting each other? But, the Civil War was 30 years ago, and it's very much, the country has very much moved on. Americans are not a disliked people by the people here, and again, that can be a fear from a lot of people as well. It's the second safest country in the Americas after Canada, supposedly. Yeah, none of us have bars in our windows. I regularly sleep with my windows open and things like that, which is great. It's something I definitely wouldn't have done in London. So no, the people are what most foreigners who come here seem to fall in love with. We've got the TV show Survivor down here at the moment, and they're here for the second time, and they're shooting 2 seasons here, as they did back in the day. And all the members of the crew say, again, it's their favorite place to come and shoot. Because, yeah, again, they had the least amount stolen from all their supplies. They all come out and hang out with their crew. They employ something like 500 people, like locals down here as well. So it's great because they pay well. They educate them in terms of how, say, a foreigner might want something finished if it's carpentry. And it gives a lot of people jobs, which is great. But they all keep coming back, which is really nice, because that's a group of people that have been and seen every beautiful country in the world, and they seem to prefer it here to a lot of places, which is, for me, yeah, I feel like I've done the same, but I've been here for a long time and I'm slightly biased. So when someone who does that for a living comes and they say the same thing, it's really nice to hear.
That's really great. I didn't know about the show being there. I haven't seen that show in quite a while. Tell us a little bit more about your real estate background. How did you get involved in real estate?
Well, I was doing, I had my degree in business and French, because again, I lived in Switzerland for a little while, so I kind of cheated. I went to a French school out there, so I speak it the same as I speak English, so I thought I might as well do it as a degree. And then I went and did property valuation and law for a master's, and went straight into working for Cushman & Wakefield, which is one of the larger commercial real estate brokerages in the world. They're actually New York based, and worked for them for quite a long time. And whilst I really enjoyed working with them and being involved in real estate, it's definitely one of my main passions. I didn't enjoy being a cog in the wheel, if that makes sense. I swore to myself when I left London that I'd never work for anyone ever again. I feel like I'm very entrepreneurial. I like to be my own boss, and yeah, I wanted to get out and do something for myself. And this was, yeah, my opportunity to sort of do that. So I came out, and when I did originally come to Nicaragua, I wanted to, and my dream was to build a little hotel or a small eco lodge. And yeah, whilst it was definitely the dream, I'm glad I didn't do it in the end, because I worked at one for a little while, and I saw how much hard work it is running an eco lodge. I think a hotel would have been easier, but an eco lodge, yeah, unless you got a lot of money, you're doing everything yourself. So I did that for 6 to 9 months, and I happened to walk into the Century 21 here, looking for a place to rent, and met my now partner here. And he was going away, saw what I was like with his dog, and said, "Hey, I'm going away for a couple of weeks. How about you stay at my house and look after my dog?" And thought, "Yep, okay, that's perfect." Well, I decide what I'm going to do. Do I go home? Or what can I make a go of it? What am I going to do here? And I think about a week into it, he suddenly realized, like, "Oh, I've left this total stranger in charge of my dog, basically his son, back in Nicaragua while he was away." So he started emailing me and chatting, and sort of we found out a little bit about each other. And when he found out I did commercial real estate back at home, he said, "How about you come and work with us?" So I mean, I gave it about 15 seconds thought and said yes and jumped on it, and yeah, never really looked back. So I mean, we've grown, well, he's grown this office into a really nice family. We've got nine members of staff working for all of us. Me and him are the only foreigners here. They're all, like, everyone else is local or Nicaraguan, which is a really nice thing to make sure, like, it's not just foreigners in here working. We've also just recently bought an office in Puerto Viejo in Costa Rica on the Caribbean side, and looking to expand towards Panama as well. So it's Nicaragua will always be my home, but Central America and sort of Latin America as a whole is something I really believe in as a growing economy, and want as much a part of that as possible.
It's pretty exciting. Before we jump into the Bitcoin part of your life, can you give us a little, give us some tips in terms of what you deal with on a real estate basis? Are there any hot properties or any, with what you deal with?
Yeah, no, and to be honest, like it's a pretty easy jump into Bitcoin from the real estate as well, because San Juan del Sur, where we're based, is it's where the main concentration of real estate is. There's a few areas, Tola or the Popoyo area, which is mostly where the surfers go to. San Juan is the tourist town, I guess. It was a small fishing village, so it has its roots in that, and it's managed to maintain its culture. As far as the center of the town is protected, it's got nicely bright colored, painted, wooden fronted buildings. They've got a height restriction on beachfront properties, so we're never going to get the sort of the 10-story skyscrapers in town, which is nice, because people leave that back in the States to come down to somewhere where it's different from home, So San Juan itself, and I'm sure people listening here can Google it and look it up on Google Images or something. It's a perfect horseshoe-shaped bay with two bluffs sticking right out. There's a big Jesus statue on the edge of one of them, which was built by the guys who did the one down in Rio. It's just, and houses lining along the beachfront with a little river splitting it in two, and lots of big green hills going back. It's very, very picturesque, and a lot of people, when they come here, they might be traveling straight through, and everyone changes their flights and stays or cancels their flights and never leaves. I'm amazed how many people who have actual jobs to go back to are on the phone to their bosses towards the end of the week, saying, making excuses and saying the flight's been cancelled or something. But no, basically how I got into Bitcoin is my now partner in one of the businesses that we're setting up, which is Bitcoin or cryptocurrency based, approached me to look for a property. I've been interested in cryptocurrency and anything in the tech world basically for quite a long time. I follow all the blogs. I wouldn't consider myself a total geek, but I do enjoy all that side of stuff. So he approached me. He was a trader on the markets with JP Morgan for a long time. His background was economics, and he recently left his job to travel the world with his now fiance, and fallen in love with the idea of Bitcoin and the decentralized, basically, dream of money that isn't the control of a few financiers in the world. It's something that I looked at a couple of years ago and didn't buy because it was too hard, especially living in a small town in Nicaragua. I was put off by the fact that I had to send money to a bank or an exchange in Eastern Europe. It would have taken 5 days for it to do it, and that's what put me off doing it. And I wish I had, because it would have been at a couple of dollars. But yeah, obviously now we all know it's far from that, and it's back at the 600s now, I think, or around about there. So I was talking to him, and we found a property that he loved, and we both kind of started talking about more and more about Bitcoin, and I basically used him as I mean, as a source of information, I was just a sponge trying to soak up as much as I could possibly understand, because, I mean, him being an economist, most of it was over my head. And we decided to try and do the transaction wholly in Bitcoin. Now, the seller of the property wasn't, or didn't need to be, they didn't want to receive Bitcoin. They wanted fiat currency or dollars. So what we would have had to, or what we did do, is we had to act as we would do as the agent, the middle person, to receive the funds that the buyer was sending. So we opened up a wallet online through Multibit, which is a good basic wallet, basically, under Century 21's ownership, or our particular Century 21 franchise's ownership. And he sent the funds through in that. We then transferred them through into dollars once the purchase was done right away, so there was no currency fluctuation risk for the seller, and transferred the money then to the seller into their dollars. So the seller was blissfully, I mean, in fact, blissfully unaware and fine with it. All they care about is they were selling their property. And we managed to do one, I mean, it wasn't the first, but it was definitely one of the first transactions, or land transactions in the Americas, using Bitcoin. And you know, it got a lot of press. We had a guy from the New York Times call down to interview us, La Economista, which is, I mean, the Economist for Latin America. I had an interview with, as well as CoinDesk, which is the sort of the cryptocurrency, like, sort of news website, basically, and a few others, which was really nice. When the news broke, I was out for dinner with a client, and I think I got 300 or something like that in the space of an hour, inquiries from people wanting to buy property. I don't think they even cared what it was, just, I want to buy something.
Wow, and they wanted to use Bitcoin as a result.
Yes, yeah, and again, as a result, I also had a bunch of like property owners who were trying to sell their properties call me up, say, I actually want Bitcoin and I will keep it in that. So I mean, for example, I'll post a link to a property on our website by the end of this chat, if I figure out how to do it on the system, to a property which is owned by a client of mine who says, yeah, they want to accept Bitcoin and they will keep it in that. That will be a full, true Bitcoin transaction. The price is $3.99. I think they'd probably take, I mean, that's fairly negotiable, but I mean, in terms of it being a high-profile purchase and getting good publicity, it's for the furtherment of getting Bitcoin out there to the people and for the true, not believers, but the users. It's really nice to see transactions like that go through and get the publicity that they deserve.
Were you surprised by the publicity? Did you expect to be one of the first?
No, I didn't give it, to be honest, yeah, didn't give it that much thought. It was just something that I'd been really interested in, and I thought, yeah, let's do it. I wanted to have Bitcoin, and again, so as I explained, I didn't get Bitcoin because it was too hard for me living in Nicaragua to send it somewhere, or I was put off by it. So I thought, this is a way that my commission for selling this property, I will keep in Bitcoin. And that was my primary reason for doing it in the first place. I thought, this is an easy way for me to get Bitcoin. So when it tumbled through into this incredible, just amount of phone calls and interviews and things like that, and clients just being inundated with it, which is awesome. It also just opened my eyes up to, wow, this is really huge. It's not just something that's gonna pass in the wind kind of thing. There's a lot of people with a lot of money who are willing to sort of put their money where their mouth is, basically. And then a lot of people like you or I who are really interested in it, but who may have been scared off it, through not wanting to send their money to somewhere they haven't heard of. We've all heard, I mean, the horror stories with Mt. Gox, and again, the big price fluctuations and things like that. And a lot of people, it scares them off. Price fluctuations don't help mass adoption, basically. So that gets us on to the marketplace, or the website, ribbit.me, that I am slaving hours and hours and hours every night with. I think we have, there's 20 to 30 people we've got doing it for us, for like programming hard on the back end at the moment. The idea is, again, as I mentioned, you want Bitcoin. You don't want to send your money to a bank. You don't necessarily want to commit any of your financial assets to transferring it, but you're interested in it. It's the same way eBay works. It's monetizing your trash that you have or your things that you don't use in your garage right now. We are creating, it's an online open marketplace, and it's free to use, or it will be when we launch. Like eBay, where you go on there and you can buy or sell goods. Differences to most of the other marketplaces are, we're not just accepting or not just allowing Bitcoin, we're allowing all other types of alternative currencies or alt currencies, basically. So you might be on there and think, I want to buy something, I want to list something, sorry, my phone's going with Skype. I want Litecoin, which is one of the other altcoins, and you might think, I've only got Bitcoin or I've only got dollars. So you can go on there and spend whichever currency you want, and we'll have an inbuilt exchange service on there, which allows you to purchase it in whichever currency you want, and I will again receive it in whichever currency I want. So someone like, and I always use the example of, say, my dad. He's vaguely interested in this stuff. He's a banker. And he's more open to Bitcoin than I would have thought he would be, because most bankers are gold bugs or believe in the true banking system. So he's open to it, but would he use something? It's I mean, the last webinar that you had on Bitcoin, I had the guy saying it's when your granny can use it, and that's what we're trying to do with Rivet. We're trying to make it as easy as possible for you to think, I've heard of Bitcoin. Yeah, I'd like a little bit of it. I'll just sell this old phone that I've got. You might otherwise sell it on eBay or one of the other marketplaces. But yeah, why not get some Bitcoin and either hold it, just because why not, or start to actually use it. The reason we decided, or we wanted to, and one of the main incentives for allowing the alt currencies as well, is there's a lot of people who made a lot of money on these currencies, and right now they're purely speculative. We all concentrate on Bitcoin because it's the first mover advantage, basically. Bitcoin is like the Facebook of cryptocurrencies, but there's hundreds of other ones out there, and it's very hard to monetize a lot of those other. It's very hard to monetize a lot of those other currencies. People have been, they've made all this money, they've got nothing they can spend it on. There's a few called Dogecoin and Litecoin, or Feathercoin, that a lot of people are starting to hear of now. There's a few things you can spend them on, but they're highly specialized, and it's pretty difficult. Bitcoin, and even Bitcoin, it's not easy to spend Bitcoin. There's Overstock.com, Tiger Direct, the gift cards, but it's not hugely widely accepted. And this website, rivet.me, is there to create another portal for people to spend it, as well as all these other currencies. So as obscure as they are, there's even one called Pizza Coin, and some other totally obscure ones. There's some guys who've got like a lot of money's worth of Pizza Coin, and they have no way of monetizing it. So yeah, I might want to spend that coin, and you might want to only receive Bitcoin. So it allows that, which was kind of the main motivation behind it. We've also got something to differentiate ourselves from any of the other marketplaces, which right now is a secret weapon with it, which is currently in development. But I mean, with the recent news today of the eBay CEO saying they're going to be looking at possibilities of how they're going to integrate Bitcoin into their system, which is, for the overall Bitcoin community, is really great news. But how I see it in terms of, they're just starting to look at it now, and they're only looking at Bitcoin. They've got such a huge, cumbersome existing system based around the fiat currency or the existing banking system with PayPal, that for them to fully integrate what we're doing would be very difficult. And whilst I don't want to compete with eBay, or if it goes up to the level, then great. Then I will never need to work ever again. But I'm purely looking to get cryptocurrencies out there to people, and make them more accessible. This secret weapon we're working on will really, really differentiate ourselves from any other marketplace or any current system out there, I think, at the moment. And that's pretty much all I can say on there, but stay tuned and it will be, or we will be able to reveal more within 3 to 4 weeks, probably.
Around the corner, it's not much longer.
Yeah. No, no. Well, yeah, that's hence the big dark bags under my eyes that we're not seeking at the moment. But no, it's huge, and we're really excited about it. We came up with it halfway through the marketplace development, thinking like, how can we make this bigger, and how can we add longevity to this idea? Because I think, yeah, the marketplace has a place in it, but it's simply a stepping stone to allow for this in the long run, and it will mean it allows longevity to the marketplace, if that makes sense, but not limited to it. At the moment, for people, if they want more information, there's no information on it at the moment, but if you go to ribbit.me, it's RIBBIT.me, and then sign up there for news that we'll email out to people as and when we get closer, and when we're looking for, we'll probably have a week or two period looking for beta testers as well, but before we go fully public. So yeah, worth getting on there for the people who are interested.
Well, congratulations on that. That's really exciting. Yeah, so in terms of the average person who is just learning about Bitcoin, the ones who haven't made the jump like you were a couple of years ago, what would you say now in retrospect? And since, why should they at this point in this time period get involved with Bitcoin?
Well, basically, and I hear people say it all the time as well, we're like, are you too late to get in? And I really think, I'm amazed at how many tables I sit at and have discussions with my friends that have never even heard of it. And these are very well-educated guys from, again, like where you are, New York or London, or not from out in the boonies in the middle of nowhere. Like, they work in finance and they've never heard of Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. We really are right at the beginning of the S-curve of adoption. I think we've only just started to see the beginning of it. So yes, if you're interested in it, start to do some research. Would I say, and you probably guess from, say, the start of the interview, I don't know exactly what level the Bitcoin rate is at the moment to the US dollar, because I don't follow it daily, because I think, I'm already starting to lose my hair at the moment, but I think I wouldn't have any if I did, because it's up and down at the moment. Well, people are buying and selling and not sure, and there's a lot of inexperienced people getting involved with it, which means if there's a slight fall, then people will buy and sell as it goes, which creates which results in huge fluctuations, and it's difficult to build investor confidence. I don't follow it on a daily basis. I'm vaguely aware as the week goes as to where it's going. So would I recommend someone to invest in it? If you can think long term, then go for it. But otherwise, no. It's something that you should either be passionate about and really want to get involved with. Or not stay away from it, but don't sit and hold money in it just for the sake of it. It's got its uses in, going back to the property example, when I sold that, I was on the phone to the buyer, and he said, I am sending you the funds right now. Half a second later, or a second or two later, the funds were in the wallet at zero cost. There is not one bank in the world that can do that. Most banks, in order to do an international wire transfer, you need to go to the bank, generally in person, unless you're a preferred customer, and you're 3 to 5 business days usually, and it costs you $50 to $150. So in particular for your viewers or users of EscapeArtist in particular, it's a lot of Americans and Canadians looking to buy property abroad. This is one of the huge, massive benefits of it. There's another one with a lot of Latin American families. Let's say 1 or 2 members of the families are working up in the States. They're looking to send money back to Nicaragua or back to Costa Rica. You use companies like Western Union or MoneyGram. it depends what country you're in, but I mean, the rates can be horrendously high, like up to 15 to 20% in some places. If they can establish bricks and mortar offices here or wherever they are using Bitcoin, they can be done for next to nothing. I'm sure the provider will charge a small amount, but it's far less the cost than it would be using some of those previously mentioned companies. And that's going to be a huge deal for a lot of the world. I mean, I think it's 53% of the world is unbanked. That's over half the world doesn't have access to a bank or bank account. All now with Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies, all you have to do is have a phone. So transactions or small transactions, which otherwise might have cost them some money and wouldn't have been worth doing, can now simply be a case of you tapping your phone or sending it straight to someone else. They've even, or people are working on SMS sending of Bitcoins as well now. There's a few companies out there doing that. So yeah, okay, you don't have to have a smartphone. You can have the most basic phone and still hold Bitcoin. It's similar to, hang on, let me look that up. It's similar to that currency in Africa where they, oh, hang on, sorry, where they use the phone credit, the M-Pesa. And that's basically, yeah, where the currency, people had just given up on it, basically. It was too volatile and unusable, so people traded in cell phone credit. And that's become a very well accepted form of payment. And that was almost, I mean, it's almost the first hugely successful but very localized to like in Kenya form of, or what makes Bitcoin so beautiful as well. It's not government run. It's not reliant on unelected institutions deciding as to when or where they will reduce or increase inflation and produce more and more money and print as they see fit. It gave, or does give, power and control back to the people, which has been really great to see, and especially in countries like Nicaragua or in a lot of places in Latin America. We've seen huge adoption in Chile and Argentina. Venezuela would be, I mean, prime ground for it to be. And I think it's these countries that will see like a lot happening, whilst a lot of the technological breakthroughs and adoption is happening, say, in places like the States, and I know there's a lot of small I mean, American and Japanese companies working as well that we seem to be dealing with. But yeah, I think it's the poor countries that will, or the third world countries that will really see like big adoption as the entrepreneurs come up and make it more accessible.
I've really never thought of it like that, so that's really interesting. In terms from a business standpoint, because you chose to get involved from going from personal to business. What kind of support do you have in terms of a business community element with Bitcoin?
Surprisingly, so in this country, quite a lot. It's a fairly young banking community here, and yeah, like I mentioned, bankers would usually or traditionally not be terribly pro it because, for a lot of them, it can be them out of a job. But we've met, I and a few others. There's four or five founding members of the Nicaragua Bitcoin Foundation. And you know, we've met with a few guys who are heads of the various banks out here, and it's been very interesting to see their reaction, and very undismissive and looking to learn more. And I think it's because, again, because it's a young financial sort of system that they've got going here, and it's over 80% of this country is unbanked. We're in quite a nice developed sort of area here, and Managua has anything and everything you need as a general rule, but there's 70% of this country which is almost in uninhabited and protected rainforest, and there's small communities living out there. There's a reason. I mean, Nicaragua on paper looks like it's supposed to be the second poorest country in the Western Hemisphere, but in reality, if you're a family of 15 people living out in the country, it's very much more self-sustainable the way they live than the way we choose to live. One person might go out to work, so they're like to pay the electricity bill that they might have, but the rest of it is it's very much like you have your own like chickens, rice. You know people who do this, and it's much more of like a swapping culture when you get out into the country, which is in ways, yeah, I see when people look at me running around and stressing and trying to do this and this, and like I can say, yeah, some of my Nicaraguan friends think, yeah, it's that stupid guy. He's got enough money to live right now. Why is he carrying on and trying to get more or do this? You know, and it's almost our curse that we're constantly chasing after something rather than stopping to enjoy it. And it's what I moved here to try and do better, basically.
With a very relaxing environment to be able to do so. In terms of Bitcoin, you are involved in the Bitcoin Online Summit, which starts on Monday until June 20th for anyone that may be interested. In terms of your peers, you know, what are you looking forward to as someone that is in the Bitcoin world? Who are you looking forward to hearing more about?
I mean, to be honest, like, I'm learning more and more the more people I listen to, and I'm a fairly regular listener on all of these conferences as well. And actually, the most valuable person that I use as a soundboard is Greg, the person who bought the property off me originally through Bitcoin, who is my partner in Ribbit.me. He, again, because he's given up his job and is doing Bitcoin related businesses full time, he's at every single one of these conferences. He not talking, but just listening and meeting all the right people. We've had the good fortune to talk to people like Bambi Weavil, who runs the Let's Talk Bitcoin show, and he's been a wealth of knowledge and very interesting. Vitalik as well, who's the Ethereum creator, he's talking at that. Very interested to hear him. He's a super geek who we've got a lot to try and absorb as much as we possibly can from. But you know, my main passion is trying to interpret the technology of it and relate it to the mass market or the normal people, I guess, like the rest of the world out there. And I found through talking with a lot of our associates and people like that with Ribbit is that there's all these hyper intelligent people, and they're constantly furthering the technology, but relating it to how you or I can use it on a daily basis. There's this big middle ground of you and them, and there's got to be someone in the middle here to take what they're doing and allow you to use it. And it's like my passion is very much trying to interpret what they're doing and figuring out a way to like monetize it is one way. Also, how to further it for the general public or make it usable, basically. So that's kind of what I'm looking forward to hearing people's ideas and trying to absorb as much as I can.
It does seem like a very inspiring environment to always be in the Bitcoin industry, because people are constantly innovating. The industry seems to be constantly changing. Do you have any thoughts on that?
It really is. And again, that goes back to when I said it's such a young developing sort of industry, basically. People are coming up with ideas. The first thing isn't necessarily the right thing. We're discovering what works, what doesn't work. Bitcoin, yes, does have the first mover advantage, or first large growth advantage, but by no means will it necessarily be the longest one. There's other ones that can come up, and we may see a changing of the guard in terms of which one perseveres, basically. So it's really interesting to see what grows up on the back of Bitcoin, and what else we can use it for. Seeing it as a currency is not, and it really is. It's really just touching the tip of the iceberg in terms of seeing it as a currency. It's the blockchain in which the Bitcoin is issued to the various users can be used for so much more than that. If you think of it as a ledger rather than a currency, so information can be put into it. You want to make a bet that in 3 weeks' time it's going to be over 38 degrees. That gets entered into the blockchain, and when it becomes over 38 degrees, that amount of money that you bet with me will get released to you. It takes out the middleman. It's such a great, secure way of storing information. and so many more other things that we haven't even touched on. We're focusing in mostly for our listeners now. It's mostly going to be interested to start with in terms of seeing it as a currency and how you can, yeah, I mean, especially for what my expertise is, look at it in terms of real estate, looking in terms of sending money abroad and things like that, which it really worked well at. But yeah, there is so much more to it than that. They're looking at these vote coins. You go up and in terms of elections, there is no reason why the presidential election shouldn't be done using these vote coins. It's totally transparent. It cannot be cheated. It avoids any form of doubt. Nothing to do with currency in the slightest, but your vote gets entered into the chain and gets seen and is transparent to every node or miner out there, so it can't be faked. That's a huge one, and I think we'll see that and many other things being adopted into society where people don't even need to know that it's a cryptocurrency. It really, crypto is just beginning, and that's why you hear it a lot, and we'll hear it again during the summit. It's the new internet. It's bigger than the internet.
It's a great way of looking at it.
Yeah, no, it's huge, and I think when I first realized that, or when that was first explained to me, and there are so many different things that it can be used for. It really is. It can be at the center of everything. It can be used for sending secure emails. Yeah, it can be used for anything and everything. So, yeah, if you're interested in that, if people contact me afterwards, I can send a few things through to people, or go and do your own sort of Google research as well. But
very exciting.
Very interesting, yeah.
Well, everyone will have a chance to see you speak at the Bitcoin Online Summit, which starts Monday and ends on June 20th. And I'm really excited to hear you speak. I've really enjoyed this interview. Thank you so much for your time.
Great. Yeah, I hope I was good.
You were great. So everyone, if you have any questions, feel free to shoot them over at conferences@escapeartist.com. We'll be happy to pass them along. Again, join us on Monday at bitcoinonlinesummit.com. This has been Bambi Weavil with Escape Artist, and thanks for joining us tonight. Thanks, Sean. Have a great night.
No worries. Thanks, Bambi. See you.
See ya.